partying. We're going to get started with our webinar today. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. My name is Alexa, Operations Manager here at the BPM RIA office, your local association, the only local chapter here in South Florida that's affiliated with the National Real Estate Investors Association. So we're going to get into our webinar today, Property Research for Investors and Real Estate Professionals. I have some really awesome things that I'm going to share with you guys today, so keep your eyes open in the chat box. But we have some incredible people who are joining us today. We have Gideon and Violet. They will introduce themselves in just a moment after I give you guys this amazing announcement. I'm so excited. Somebody in this webinar today is going to win a limited edition Pelago keychain. So if you'd like to enter the raffle, you guys already know what to do. Our secret passcode for the raffle today is webinar. So text the word webinar to our raffle line. Don't call me on this number, guys. This is for our event raffles only. Text the word webinar to 954-800-6961. And I threw that in the chat for you guys. So go ahead and take a picture or look at the chat box for this info. All righty. And we have a ton of upcoming events, as you all know, if you've been receiving emails and following us on everything. We have a webinar tomorrow. We have a webinar on Thursday. We're meeting in West Palm Beach next week. It is a free networking event. It is limited seating, so we'll have just a couple vendors there. And if you are available, please RSVP on the website. If you are not available, don't RSVP, please. But please go ahead and RSVP, save your spot if you are available and if you'd like to go to West Palm Beach to learn about short-term rentals and meet with some of our vendors and people over there, because it is a little bit of ways away, but we're excited. So REI Black Book is coming in. You know, we use REI Black Book in the mentoring coaching program as our CRM. So this is going to be really important for you guys to learn. And then right around the corner is our quarterly in-person meeting with Andy Heller. And I have a little intro video to share with you guys. It is on our YouTube channel. I just uploaded it yesterday. So you can get to know Andy a little bit more and what he's talking about from his words. Go ahead and check out the YouTube channel, which I will link in the chat for you guys in just a moment. But yes, go ahead and save your spot now. Members get in free, as you all know, and then early bird is $15. So if you want to network with a ton of our vendor partners, such as Pelago, please go ahead and get your ticket for November 2nd. And I am so excited to meet you guys at these two meetings. I'm excited to meet you guys in person and shake your hand and talk to you. So go ahead and do that today. All right, so my favorite way to keep up with events, if you're in the loop, you got a text message this morning reminding you of our webinar today. If you'd like to receive text updates, text BPM REIA, all one word, no spaces, to our event line. Again, please don't call me on this number. You should all have my direct contact information, but if you don't, you will have it by the end of this webinar. So yes, text BPM RIA, all one word, to 954-800-6961 if you would like text updates on our events. And that's in the chat for you guys, just in case I'm running a little bit quick here. All right, so our next boot camp is February 4th and 5th. We do have member and non-member pricing available. As you can see, we're getting into a lot of really great topics during this training. It's a 2 full day training via Zoom. The entire training is led by our CEO and lead mentor, Anish Dave. If you are even slightly interested in mentoring, coaching, or learning what we do, how we do it, why we do it, highly recommend taking this training. You will get a lot of clarity and you will be able to make a really good decision for yourself if you need one-on-one coaching or mentoring or not. This is a money back guarantee training. So as Anish always says, he's not God. He can't give you your time back, but he can give you your money back. So that is something that I've never seen taken advantage of yet, but it's there. So I linked that in the chat for you guys so you can see all the great guest speakers that we have on that training and all the other topics that we really get into. So go ahead and check that out. Memberships, as you guys know, our members get all the benefits, all the special pricing, discounts, all that good stuff. You get a bunch of discounts to our national RIA vendors, which include Home Depot, Avis, Budget, ODP, Business, Arcana Insurance, which is now MSI, just a ton of different vendors. You get in free for the in-person quarterly networking meetings. Your guests get in for half off. And you get member pricing on all of our boot camps, workshops, both online and in person. A lot of great benefits of being a member. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But I went ahead and threw that link in the chat for you guys so you can check that out. All righty, last but not least, one-on-one coaching mentoring is available at BPM RIA. It is a truly unique program as you are matched one-on-one with a mentor, which you have full access to. You're actually going to get all of your deals funded for you. Anish puts up 100% of the money for our students' deals, splits the profit 50-50. It's a truly unique program. We don't accept everyone. But if you would like more information on what we include in this coaching program, go ahead and schedule a discovery call with me so that I can get a brochure in your hands with a breakdown of everything that's included, pricing, everything. So, and then I'll be more than happy to schedule this 1 hour free consultation with you and a mentor so that you can get all your questions answered and figure out if this is a good option for you. Alrighty, last but very not least, so many thanks to our speakers on here today, Violet and Gideon, but also thank you to National RIA for everything that they give us, all the amazing speakers, all the amazing benefits. Thank everyone for being on this webinar today. Very much appreciate you guys. A couple housekeeping things that I would like to express right now is please, guys, put your questions in the Q&A box. There's a Q&A box in the Zoom menu. I don't want to lose any of your questions. And our speakers are going to be so happy to share with you guys so many amazing things. So we don't want to miss those amazing questions. But I'm going to stop sharing here because we have some really important things to talk about today, guys. So let's just give it up for our speakers on here today. Woo woo. Gideon, Violet, thank you guys for being here. If you could just go ahead and introduce yourselves. As our members know, you guys are a vendor partner. You're on our website. You guys are here to help us, but we just want to know a little bit more about you guys.
Hey, I'm Gideon. We recently became vendors and members of this. We're part of National RIA and a few other places, and yeah, we're excited to speak. I've been in real estate since 2012. When the market was crashing, it seemed like an opportune time to get in. I started as a flipper, started with trying to do wholesaling, wasn't very successful at it. Found a little niche by being a licensed agent, and just being on the phone and trying to make offers through negotiating with other real estate agents. And I've ended up, doing flips from the auction, from on market, from wholesale deals, from tax lien auctions as well. And I've been investing since. I've been a broker kind of full time along that process as well. I'm our managing broker up here in Seattle, and where we started this company. And we've got about 300 agents or so here. We expanded to Florida in the last 2 years, and we've got about 70 agents there, all with the help of Violet, our incredible managing broker, who's there to support our agents and answer their questions. I'll tell you a bit more about the company after Violet's intro and when we dive into what we do.
So, hello, everyone. I've been in real estate since 2014. totally built my way up. Worked for title companies, ran a different company, now fully invested in Pelago for the last 2 years. Like Gideon said, we have about 70 agents. My personal history in investing has really all been about Airbnb. I've been flipping apartments into Airbnb units for probably about 5 years now. And helping agents and other fellow, investors try and find other investment properties. Loving real estate, loving Pelago, love Bria. Been known Anish for a few years now. Love their events, and happy to share all the info with you guys today.
Gosh, so awesome. So awesome. Thank you guys. Well, feel free to take over the screen. Like I said, everybody put your questions in the Q&A box, but you guys will know I'm here. If you guys have questions, you can send me a direct message or put your questions in the Q&A. Yay.
Okay, awesome. Let me try this screen sharing. Okay, so we're mostly here to show you guys how to use our software, which is free to use. But a quick intro on the company. We're a 100% commission brokerage. So instead of splitting commissions, we give agents the full commission minus a flat fee. We're not there to help agents get clients. We don't provide a CRM or do marketing classes or, have an office that they can congregate and work at. Our job is to be there and answer questions for them. It's very kind of no frills brokerage, but we focus on doing a great job when it comes to the support side of things. So it works for experienced and new agents. New agents pay a little bit extra, and they can expect us to kind of be there for the hand holding where we'll walk them through, what to do when their first offer, what forms to use, what lines to fill out. They can text us or text Violet 20 times a day with what about this, what about that. So we're really good at those parts, which works well for investors, and it helps keep our prices low. What we wanted to share today was our software, which is for finding, researching, and analyzing properties. So I'm not sure if you guys watched the intro video, but I'll kind of just dive in, and if you guys have any questions along the way, let me know and we'll just take it from there. So the first thing we can do is we can just search in, let's say, Miami-Dade for properties, same way as we might on Zillow. And the difference here is that Pelago is going to do all these things, which we'll dive into in the webinar, that will help estimate an after repair value and a rent estimate for every property. And this lets you filter through these properties. So there's about 13,000 properties for sale. If we look through this list, most of these are just not feasible for investors. Some of these we can tell right away, like we can look at this photo and say, obviously this property looks pretty nice already. They've got great photos. It's probably not going to be a flip. But other ones are not so clear, like this house right here in the middle. It looks terrible with these, it's just a very junky looking listing. And so we might think, hey, that's a good deal. But our ARV on it is, barely above the price. And we can see just tons of examples where the property might look bad, but it still doesn't mean that it's a good flip. So what we can do here is filter by, let's say, our ROI. So you can filter on all the regular things too. So, but you can filter by, let's say, 0% ROI. And now it's going to show you properties that the system thinks are going to be potential, good flips here that you could actually have a spread on. It's all computer generated. So, there's going to be properties where maybe it says it's a good deal, then it's not, and other ones where, it's a better deal than it shows. But this cuts out a ton of the work. So instead of being at 13,000 properties, we're down to 800 through this. And I like to use the 0% filter because just because if it says, 1% or 2% doesn't mean that it'll actually end up being a good deal. So as a real estate investor, you still have to look through a lot of properties and kind of make your own decisions on it. But we can see there's a lot of really high ROIs too. So like, we can click into this one and we can see like it looks like a fixer, it looks like it could potentially be a flip, but what really matters to an investor is what's the spread. And so if we scroll down here, this is really where the Pelago system does its thing, is the system looks for other comps that are in a renovated condition. So you can see here, there's this tag that says this is a flip, this is a flip, this is a flip. And so this helps us figure out other properties that, if we look through this one, we can see, hey, this is basically like the subject property, same kind of general feel of it, but it's in a much nicer condition. And so we can say, hey, this one sold for 347. Now we can work our way backwards into what we think our flip's going to sell for. Another thing that Pelago does is it does these adjustments. So, for example, there's a small difference in the finished square footage. And this is always something that it's hard for investors to do in their head. Even it's hard for appraisers to do, which is, hey, this one has an extra bedroom and an extra, 57 or 56 square feet. What does that mean in dollar terms for us, or has a little bit larger lot? So in this case, that larger lots, our system thinks it's worth 15,000. We think that extra 66 or 56 square feet is worth 11,000. And this is something that you as the real estate professional, you need to bring your own judgment to and go, I think it's worth more, I think it's worth less. But this gives you something to start with. There's also, it shows you the appreciation since then. So depending, like in Seattle right now, this number is actually negative for most comps because the market's been going down the last 2 months. Whereas Florida is super resilient and the number is still showing a positive number. So this helps you figure out, what a comp is worth in more tangible terms for yourself. Something to know that we found is that when doing our ARV estimates, we found that you're going to end up getting a much better estimate if you go back in time for your comps more than the last few months. Like it's very tempting to say, oh, the comp from last week is the best comp, but it could be an outlier. So just because the house last week sold for a certain price doesn't mean there weren't other factors at play. Maybe the people who bought it, their family lived next door and they just wanted it more than an average buyer is going to want it. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the seller just really wanted to get out of there because they had their own personal reasons. And so the comp sold for less than what the market actually is. So the further back in time you go with your comps, the better, as long as you adjust for the appreciation or depreciation since then. So we found a lot of these rules about searching for comps are actually completely not true. Like, oh, never search for comps longer than 3 months or 6 months. You're going to get much more accurate after repair values if you go back, let's say 12 months for your search and you just adjust for the market since then. And that's hard to do, in your head or as you go. And so that's one of the benefits of the system like this is it'll tell you how much appreciation has happened since then. In this case, since July, for at least this one, there's been a little bit of depreciation. Since February, there's been a lot of appreciation here. And so we can search further back in October and stuff, and we see, okay, there's even more appreciation in this one. So just because it sold, in this case, a whole year ago, doesn't mean it's relevant. It's still part of how this market performs. And this market's performed really well. And, we have nearly 20% appreciation in there. As a real estate professional, I'm going to look at these comps and I'm going to make my own decisions about them. And I'm going to say, hey, actually, you know what? I think that this, I'm not from Florida. I'm not from this area. I have no idea what's important, but I might say, you know what? I think comp C is not very relevant and comp B is not relevant because they're on the other side of the street. And so I don't want to see those in my comps. And so I can deselect them, as you guys might have seen. So like I'm selecting and deselecting a comp, and then I've got the comps that I like organized over here, which is the ones kind of between these two streets. And as I'm doing these adjustments, I can save this so that I can keep track of the comps that I want. If you're a wholesaler, you can use this to, send a deal to somebody, or if you're a broker, you can send, send a link to this, and you can do it with your custom comps. So you can say, hey, I like these comps, I don't like these comps, etc. You can also adjust the filters for the comps, so you can filter, if you're listening to what I'm saying about the 12-month thing and you think, that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard, you can just change the filter right here instead. We also put an active and pending, so you can, change those. So there's a lot of all the standard filters that you might use, you can override the system and use them however you want. And that gives you, so those are the comps. If we scroll a little bit lower, we see the calculator. So, we might think, hey, let's look through some of these comps. And you might think, okay, hey, my finished product is going to be a little bit nicer. There wasn't a lot of imagination maybe in this flip, and the overmount sink is not the classiest thing. And they could have put the range in there and just made it a little bit nicer. So you might think, hey, that one's got an adjusted value of 381. And so the adjusted value, by the way, that's the number that I would recommend thinking about when it comes to valuation. So the sold price is one thing, but the adjusted value after we make our adjustments, that's what really counts. So we might go through these and say, hey, we think we can make it a little bit nicer than this one. Let's look at this comp, but this comp's horrible, so I'm going to get rid of that one. But it has a 379 adjusted value. So this kind of leads me to think that, we can get more than 380 out of this property. So here's another one. This one's not very great either. So I'm looking at some of these Comp F's flips. Let's see how that one looks. This one looks a lot nicer. This one has a 359 adjusted value. So this is where, as a real estate professional, you got to start thinking, well, what's the difference here? Oh, it's on this side of the street. Okay. So it looks like this side of the street's worth more than that side of the street. I think I can do a little bit nicer than Comp A. So I think that the after repair value on it is probably a little bit north of 380. Let's maybe say 390. And I can type that in and it'll adjust all of my other numbers. Or I can say, hey, I think the market's gonna totally collapse. And so I'm going to put in 360. And so I can adjust these numbers here. I can look at the photos from before and I can say, okay, this is going to take an enormous amount of work. 59,000 for the rehab is perhaps unrealistic. I'm going to put in 80,000 for it. We have a guide here also that can kind of show you what different scopes of work are going to be. So here's what a heavy rehab needs. And here's approximately what it'll cost to do that in this area for this size property, or, all the way to the studs. So looking at some of these things, the property is not very big. So the rehab estimate is, has its limitations for how much it can cost. But I think that, I feel like 65 might not be a big enough budget. 100 is probably too much. Let's go with 70,000 as my rehab budget on it. And so now I'm keeping track of these numbers. I think maybe it'll take 6 months. And maybe you're a real estate agent or your spouse is, and then, you can say, hey, I'm going to change this listing commission to just $500 because that's going to be the brokerage fee. And I can play with these numbers accordingly. I can even type in, on the profit, I only need to make, let's say 35,000 on it. And that's going to tell me, hey, I can offer 211,000 on it. So I guess I'll pause there for a second, see if anyone has any questions. Kenton asks, does it work throughout the US? No, it does not. Which is why we are here doing these webinars, kind of one-offs, is it only works in a few areas. So it works in South Florida and parts of California and Western Washington. So until we're in more states, we'll be doing these things, as we go to teach people how to use it. Majid asks, how are sales for flips or investments with rates at 7%? I'm not totally sure I understand that. Maybe we can get little bit more clarity on it. But I'm glad to hear that you think it's a good resource. We can definitely adjust our interest rates on here. So maybe let's say you think you're at 10% for your down payment, you can adjust that. And that's going to adjust everything else in here. So I'll give a little bit more detail on that one, since I think this one can be a little bit confusing. We've broken the loan costs into buying costs and carrying costs. So your points here, which is your origination fee, that's going to go into your buying costs. So we've got 2 points here for the purchase loan. That's going to be our 3,800. And then we got our 2 points here for the rehab loan. That's our 1,100. So as we adjust each of these numbers, any number here, they're all going to play together and make these adjustments here. Okay, can you know if the house is delinquent or probate? No, so this is not like an off-market foreclosure tool to like look for and build lists. So you can type in an off-market property. So it doesn't have to just be on market. So you could type in a delinquent one, but you can, you can type in an off-market property and, you're going to still see on-market comps for it. So Berto asks, how are you calculating the rehab costs? Are these numbers estimated on contractors average in South Florida, or a guesstimate? It's we try to make it location specific, but we are new to Florida, and especially in the last year, prices have changed so wildly, both up and down. So we welcome feedback on these numbers and how we can make them more accurate. We found overall these numbers seem to work out well. This certainly isn't like Midwest estimates here. If anything, I would assume that our estimates are probably a little high, because we started in Seattle and California, where even though things are expensive in Florida, they're even more expensive there. Is there a help button? Yes, sort of. There's this instant chat. So you can pop that up. There I am. So you can, you can ask us questions anytime. Either I'll be the one answering them, or our customer success manager, Jen, will be answering them, who's from Florida, which isn't super related to the support, but just a nice little nugget. And mortgage rates are going up. How is this impacting sales? Well, I mostly want to teach you guys how to use the tool, which is that, hey, you can adjust these interest rates. We can dive into the calculator in a second, where we can say, hey, the interest rate is going to be 7%. In terms of how it's going to affect sales, I don't want to not give you an answer, but I feel like it could really do either way. Certainly, like the traditional idea is that rates going up is going to make prices go down. I mean, that's kind of the goal of making the interest rates go up, and that's what it has been doing, at least on a national basis. But it's tricky, because the speed at which they've gone up has made it so that anyone who's bought in the last 10-15 years has a disincentive to sell right now, because they still have that fixed mortgage going on, and they're giving that up. So that mortgage by itself is worth money. If we see more, subject to deals where people are assuming people's loans, that could counteract the high interest rates. If interest rates go up, in a steady way, we might start having buyers anticipating further interest rate jumps and wanting to buy sooner rather than later. So I think the interest rate thing could really go either way. Certainly the goal is to make prices come down, but I think it's not super clear cut, and the factors behind prices going up and down are going to be a lot more complicated, and not something I feel super confident, making a prediction about. Okay, so looks like that's all the questions so far. So I'm going to dive into the rental calculator. We got one more. and definitely keep asking the questions because I don't have tons of content, to be honest here. We're almost at the end of like teaching you how to use all the features. So the more questions you guys have, the better. How accurate do we feel the rent and resale estimates are? Are your algorithms strictly looking for comps or anything else influencing pricing? Well, yeah, so the comps are really where the estimates come from, and then these adjustments to the comps. We also have some rental comps, which are not nearly as detailed as the sale comps, but you can use those as well. This button's not working. How do I get back there? Let's try doing a refresh. Oh no, it's just my internet. Something's going on. All right, well, I'll answer the question in the meantime. So the comps, we found that the median error rate on them is about 7%. So it's actually easier to estimate the value of a property in a renovated condition than it is to estimate it in a kind of as is condition. So I think that even though a company like Zillow is going to have a bazillion data scientists working on this estimate, realistically, it's a much harder problem to solve because they have to figure out what condition the property is in right now. Since we're assuming the condition is going to be in a renovated condition, it's going to be similar to these, other flips in the area. It makes the problem a lot easier to estimate. So the accuracy on after repair value for these automated valuations is, in my opinion, well, it is going to be a lot easier to do. And so that's why our error rate is, even though we're still a young company, is still pretty low, for everything. I think the rent estimates are probably going to be a little bit more off because not all of those, necessarily go through the MLS and stuff. Of course. Okay, so let's dive into the rental. So for the rental, same concept as before. So these gray boxes, we can edit these. So maybe you're doing Airbnb on this and you're like, oh, it's gonna be like a 30% management fee, or perhaps you're gonna, have your cousin doing it and you're gonna pay him $50 a month. There's not much to do. So you can adjust any of these boxes like this. We've got expenses broken out, costs broken out into expenses and budgets. Those are just our words for it. But, expenses are things that you're going to be paying every single month. Or that you're going to be paying, that you're forced to pay. So like taxes, you don't pay every month, but you're forced to pay them, insurance, etc. Budgets are things that you're kind of tucking away the money just in case something happens. So, we use like a vacancy rate here of 5%. That is just a totally made up number that we threw in there. In my experience for my rentals, my vacancy rate is like probably less than 1%. I mean, I guess on an eviction I've done, I had to do some fix up afterwards. So I guess maybe there was like 2 months of vacancy there. But aside from those very rare examples, I always just, hey, the lease is coming up. I find somebody new. I don't overprice the rental. And so my vacancy rate, could be, for all intents and purposes, could be 0 a month. And so I can do this and I can type in my numbers and I can keep track of everything. And I can see, hey, here's going to be my cash flow. In this situation, we're looking at the property needs so much work that it's not really realistic that we're going to buy it for 196 and we're just going to start cash flowing 2,200. The property is clearly not in a rent ready condition. So that's where the BRRRR comes in. And so for those who aren't familiar with this acronym, it's where you're buying the property, you're rehabbing it, you're refinancing it, and then you're renting it out, or you're renting it and then you're refinancing it out. Some people often put the last R in there, but I think you don't necessarily need to repeat it. So we decided not to keep that last R in there. But the idea is you're raising the property value through renovations, and then you're refinancing some money out. And so we have this initial cash in and your net cash in, and your refinance loan, like what are you going to end it at? So the buy and hold one is 20% down. whereas the refi loan is a 70% loan to value on the new after repair value. But anyone who's been doing BRRRRs knows that it's not always that simple. Sometimes you're doing a delayed mortgage and you're only doing it on the purchase price itself. So I definitely, like all the parts of the website, recommend playing around with it and making sure that the numbers make sense to you. If you think, hey, as you're going to get a private mortgage on it, you could throw 8% there. And so we'll see also with the renovations, we're expecting we can get more rent out of this. But this is all stuff that you can play with. So you could say, hey, I think it's gonna be 2,500, or you're gonna Airbnb it and you're gonna make, let's say, 9,000 a month, and you're gonna do 30% management fee. So these are things that you can play with and make a decision on. How do you want to do this property? Is this property even worth your time? Should you move on just to the next property? Should you call the agent, make an offer, etc.? So it looks like the tool. So Cindy asked, the tool like your calculator can be used, or do you need to subscribe? So everything we're showing you is completely free to use. There's no catch. Our goal is in the long term that investors out there will become leads, and we can connect them with agents who are looking, investors who need an agent to work with. So we've got about 70, 80 agents in Florida. Most of them are investors themselves. Like if you need someone to help you buy an Airbnb, Violet has firsthand experience doing it herself. She's very active in the market and she can help you do that. And so this, for us, it becomes like a lead generation tool. So we make the software completely free to use. And it also gets us agents from it too. A lot of investors will have their own license. So most of our agents are, investors who have a license for themselves, and they're just using it to do occasional deals for themselves, occasional deals for friends and family or people that they know. So not all of our agents are actually even interested in working with clients. But since we know our agents, we know which ones we should introduce to and such. Okay, so then below our cash flow analysis, we've got our long-term assumptions. I'll get to that question in a second. So long-term assumptions, we have our, these numbers are completely made up. Like everybody knows that Florida did not increase 3% last year, but also you might think, hey, it's not going to increase 20% forever. So maybe you're thinking, I'm going to put in, let's say 5% as a steady thing, or you think, I'm just going to do 1% because I'm feeling shaky about the market. And so you can adjust the rate of growth here. You can change, how often you're increasing rent, and how much you're increasing rent by. So, if you increase rent by 5%, you can see how that changes. And you can see, oh, in this case, since we're increasing rent 5% a year and the property value only 1% a year, we're going to have way more of our total profit coming from cash flow. Though typically speaking, it's the opposite for people, where the cash flow ends up, if these numbers are the same, typically, you're going to see the net equity grow faster than it. Although I guess not in this case, because we're starting with so much cash flow. So maybe I'm spoiled or the opposite, because in Washington, we have almost no cash flow in any of our properties. So in Washington, it's like all equity growth. And then it looks like in Florida, we get a lot more cash flow growth here. So if we were to do, let's say, a 15-year loan, we can see how that impacts things over these 30 years. We can see, hey, 15 years, by year 15, our principal pay down is complete, and our cash flow all of a sudden, stair steps down here. I can't hover over it, but you can kind of see it in this cash flow graph, where it just jumps down in the 15th year, and and the equity growth here kind of tapers off because we're no longer getting equity growth from the principal pay down. So I think that covers it. I'm sure you guys get the idea. I'll bring it to your guys' questions on that part before we move on. Okay, so Kenton asks, what are the monthly fees for agents? So our standard plan is $50 a month. $500 a transaction. We've got a couple different plans depending on what volume you're at. New agents pay an extra 500 on their first few transactions. And they can expect some more hand-holding. As I mentioned at the beginning, the hand-holding is purely transaction related. So agents who are looking for help on how to get clients, we're just not a great brokerage for that. I think that we wouldn't be able to do a good job at each part if we were only charging 500 and promising the world. So we keep our focus limited. We're just there for the transaction stuff. And as a result, Violet's incredible at it. She knows the forms inside and out. She knows the situations. She's been doing it for, nearly 10 years. So when you have a transaction question, she's on it. She's there to help you. But if you're like, hey, how do I get clients and stuff? Sort of like, there's a lot of other resources. Massimo asks, can you filter multifamily? Yes, you can. So back here, we can do our, so it's only, I think, up to 4 units probably right now. But we can filter down multifamily and just see multifamily properties on it. So I'd say the after repair value is less accurate on the multifamily as on the single family. But yeah, you can definitely search it just like you would on a Zillow or a Redfin. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You can ask about this property. Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. So you can ask, Violet questions about this property. If you're looking for an agent, just hit her up. She's right here. And last little thing down here is just some graphs here. So we can see how, things are moving, changes in sale list price, days on market, etc. So I think that stuff requires no explanation. You guys probably got that from there. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell. Any other questions?
Guys, now is the time to ask your questions. It's not every day that we have, Gideon and Violet here with us, having time with us. We do have more time on the clock, so make sure you got those questions in the Q&A box. I know a lot of you guys entered into the raffle, so I'll go ahead and see who's the winner in just a moment. But any questions, guys? Maybe let's talk a little bit more about, once they reach out to Violet, if they're wanting to work with her, how would that look like?
Yeah, so as an agent, if you're interested, Violet will give you her cell number, and you can also just reach out through the website. So you can click get started or schedule a call. I'll give Violet a second to chat about that also, and yeah, and then we'll get back to some of these Q&As.
Yeah, so I put my phone number in the chat box so you guys can text me or call me anytime. All I need really is just your license number and your email and your first and last name that's registered with the state. But you don't need to be a member, of course, to join, this website. You can just go to pelago.com. In the upper right corner, it says, your free account, and you can get all of that, all this information from your free account. You don't necessarily have to be an agent. But if you're wanting to join me or have any questions, you feel free to text or call me anytime. I'm always available.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Violet. We appreciate that. And that's not for everyone to give her a call as soon as this webinar is over. Please don't blow up her phone. But definitely, you guys already know what to do. Just reach out and, make sure you have your ducks in a row before you give her a call. But that's the main thing. Just triple checking who is our winner today. But I don't know if you guys have anything else that you want to talk about specifically.
Yeah, they had a couple other questions. I guess I think you just answered them. How do I access the system? Yeah, you just create a free account, pelago.com, click create an account right here. And if you're a non-agent but an investor, can you work with us? Absolutely. We're, let us know what you're looking for, where you're looking for it, and we'll let you know if we have an appropriate agent for that. You can even go to Buyer Solutions here, where you can type out this form if you want. If you lost our phone numbers, see some testimonials of other folks who we've helped connect with agents in the past. And yes, we'll put the website URL in the chat.
And you guys know that you can find Pelago on our website. It is super easy. It is pelago.com. But if you guys forget, you can always refer back to our website and go over the vendor partners tab at the very top, and you will see Pelago on our website. So just so you guys know.
Kenton asked, do you refer investors for other states not in your current service area? We'll do our best. If we can't, if we know somebody, if we don't, we won't waste your time. Or if you know somebody, let us know. Okay, cool. Well, definitely feel free to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat also. If you want to talk about working together, I'd love to hear from you.
So good, guys. So good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I guess I will go ahead and announce our raffle winner. Drum roll. All righty. Our raffle winner today is, making sure we don't have multiple of this in the chat. Okay, yes. Our raffle winner today is Ann J. Congratulations, Ann. I'm going to go ahead and shout you out in our chat. I will get in touch with you so that you can get your prize for attending today. And thank you, Gideon and Violet, for that awesome little gift.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit of a joke, the keychain, like we just didn't know what to give. But I will say it's actually like a pretty decent keychain if you're looking for if you're in the keychain market. I would say it's nice. It's got little cutout arrows of our logo. It could be
a solid keychain. It's a solid.
Yeah, I think it's made of nickel, actually.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it so much. Awesome. Well, guys, this is your chance. Do you have any questions for Gideon and Violet? Anything about them, what they do, how they can help you? Now is your chance. Yes, we are recording this webinar, so everyone who's watching the replay, please check out our website and find Pelago on the vendor partners tab. And you can find their website, contact information, everything is on our website. And all right, let's see if any more questions are popping in. Does the keychain come with car keys? Well, maybe next webinar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Berto. I appreciate that. So yes, please feel free to watch this recording. It will be posted in just a day or so. I'll go ahead and link our YouTube channel in the chat for our replays. We have 2 channels, but one of them is dedicated to our webinar replays. So guys, any more questions? I know they blasted us with a bunch of tools and resources and amazing things. So I hope you guys are really happy with that and know that we have only the best in your corner here at BPM RIA. So any last words, Gideon and Violet? Because I don't see any more questions rolling in. So I'm guessing we fulfilled everybody's expectations for today's webinar. That's what I'm going to assume if no one else has questions.
Yeah, you can instant chat us anytime here. So you can reach me through there. I think if you're in Florida, it might redirect you to Violet also. We're here for any follow-up questions. We're new to Florida, or at least on the website front. We've had the website here for just, I don't know, maybe like a month or 2 now. So we're love to hear any feedback. And of course, if you're an agent, we have a little more experience with that. We've been in the area for about 2 years.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are excited to have gotten this time with you. We're definitely happy, and I feel like I learned so much from this presentation. So thank you guys. And as you guys know, as I briefly mentioned in the beginning, we do have another webinar tomorrow. We're going to get into tax planning strategies for all of you guys, real estate investors, wholesalers, rehabbers, Airbnbers, realtors, everybody. Always great learning experience in those webinars. And then we have another webinar on Thursday. We're going to get into short sales. So you guys, we're going to keep you guys on your toes this week. Next week, we're meeting in person in West Palm Beach. The following week, we're meeting in person again at the Signature Grand in Davie. Hopefully we have Violet if she's available. Hopefully I can bring her over to the Signature Grand so you guys can meet her face to face on November 2nd. But you will be able to meet so many of our vendor partners on November 2nd at the Signature Grand. And don't forget, Pelago is on our website. After this webinar today, I will be sending each and every one of you a thank you email, linking their website and contact information. So you guys are completely set with that. And then you'll have my contact information. If you don't have it already, you'll have my phone number, my email, everything. So look out for an email from me after this webinar today. If you don't get it, double check your spam and junk folder because it may be the first time I'm emailing you. So yes, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone in here appreciates it so much. Geraldine, all of the events are posted on the website with locations, times, cost, everything. Some are free, some are not. So yes, go ahead and check the website. Everything is there. And we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. And hopefully I get to see you. You're above me right now on Zoom. So hopefully I see you, Violet, soon. And hopefully soon for you too, Gideon. I think it's a little bit warmer here than where you're at. So maybe you'll come visit us soon. And
Come in the winter. Yeah.
yes, we are very blessed here in Florida. And thank you guys. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in, not from South Florida. I think it's so amazing. And we're truly blessed to have you guys on these webinars. So for everyone that's on here, not just people out of Florida, but you guys know what I mean. So, well, I guess that is all for today. I am super happy to have you guys on here. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Alexa.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.